One of the big pre-draft stories, where will Deebo Samuel be? He was making it very clear he didn't want to be with the 49ers. He went public with his trade request, and it looked like they weren't going to be able to rebuild the bridge. But Deebo Samuel, looky here, he's at mandatory minicamp, and here's Kyle Shanahan, coach of the team from yesterday, talking about his relationship with his receiver, who not long ago did not want to be Kyle Shanahan's receiver anymore.
The fact that Deebo, you indicated Deebo, you expected him to be here. The fact that he is here, absorbing practice, is that a sign that the relationship has at least been mended a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's always been all right. I mean, I know we go through the business part of this league and things like that, but I mean, I don't think the relationship was ever too far away to not get it back to normal, and I think we're working on that. Anytime you're away from each other for a while, that's always harder, but it's good to get him back in here and start getting him around the guys again.
Has he rescinded his trade requests, and are the two sides, trading numbers? Are negotiations active right now?
I mean, they always talk. I mean, I'm not going to get into that, and you guys can ask Deebo to speak for himself on that, but I mean, love our relationship with Deebo, and hopefully that'll help us be able to solve this contractually before we get to the season.
I mean, some of his actions, most notably requesting a trade to leave the team, would indicate they weren't great. I mean, why do you say they weren't?
I go off of, when I think of a relationship with someone, that has to do with him and me, not statements, not Instagram, not people repeating stuff. It has to do with the words that come out of my mouth to a man and him back to me, and nothing else. And that's never been a problem with me and him.
I think back to some of the things Kyle Shanahan said before the draft and during the draft when they do the press conference, basically after every installment, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. He expressed optimism that once the guys are back in the building, that's when the magic happens. That's when the communicator that Kyle is, kind of like Sean McVay, Chris, the opportunity to talk directly to someone face-to-face, man-to-man, and work things out. Remember it came up during one of those press conferences. They asked when you last spoke to Deebo, and he said, I haven't reached him in a while. I haven't spoken to him in a while. It's because he wasn't taking his calls. It's easy. It's easier to just hit the FU button on your phone when you don't want to talk to somebody. You don't have to deal with them. But when you're there, when Deebo Samuel shows up and he's there, that's when Kyle Shanahan has the door open to do what he has to do to mend fences, and it sounds like that's what he's doing.
No doubt. That's why I think, you heard me say from the start that he's not going to give up on this. And, I believe I made comments that, yes, he's got great confidence in his ability to communicate and relate to the football players. We talked about McVay yesterday maybe being the master of communication. Shanahan's not far behind. Shanahan's got a magical way with the players, too. I mean, again, we're going in, a lot of years of being a head coach here. You don't hear too many players say anything negative about Kyle Shanahan, and a lot of them say positive things, even when they're getting cut and getting kicked out the door. So, yeah, I think you make the point there. You're right. And this is where they wanted it. Get them back in the building. Hey, I'll show a few videos and teach the offense a few plays. And while I'm doing that, they're going to be Deebo Samuel highlights. And I'm going to tell Deebo in front of the team how awesome he is. And look, everybody be like that. And then when I'm with Deebo in a room and talking to him and stuff, I'm going to make another connection. And he's just going to chip away at this. He's too important to the team. He's too important to Trey Lance. He's the best player on their football team right now. And for a guy like Shanahan, who is the offensive genius, he's the ultimate jack of all trades for the offensive side of the ball. So I'm not surprised that it's gotten to this point. I'm not. And I think this is where Shanahan's pretty special. He can tell us all he wants. Oh, they're talking and whatever. He's the guy running the show. He's the GM and the coach. He's going to get it to where he wants, and he's got great confidence, like I said, in his ability to relate to these guys. And I just think it's a matter of time before, we hear new contract for Deebo Samuel.
They're still going to have to dig deep.
They are.
It's not going to be cheap.
Nope.
The market has changed dramatically, and they may be kicking themselves because what they could have gotten him for back in mid to late January, early February, that changed with Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown. The price has gone up, especially if you're going to use him as a running back and put him at greater risk. If you're going to use me at two different positions, you got to pay me a little bit more. So whatever it was that happened before the draft, whether it was he was offended by their opening offer, which is entirely possible, or somebody just said something that set him off accidentally. Maybe John Lynch said something. Maybe he's not the master communicator that Kyle Shanahan is. Maybe they tried a good cop, bad cop, and whatever it was, something caused Deebo Samuel to say, I want out. And it sounds like they've found a way, somehow. For a situation that looked like it was hopelessly lost, they've found a way to pull it back together. Now, as we've been saying repeatedly, there's one way to come up with the money to pay both Deebo Samuel and Nick Bosa. Shanahan said yesterday they have yet to have contract talks with Nick Bosa, and he doesn't seem to be pushing yet. But, hey, his brother Joey was always attuned to, and still is, the business side of things. And Nick is as well, I think. And at some point, Nick is going to push. One way to make it easier to sign either or both guys is to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.